En el centro de la pampa vive un pimiento. Sol y viento pa' su vida, sol y viento.
Hello, my name is Patrick Barnard. Welcome to the 16th edition of the Pimento Report. It's a special kind of day today, and I'm making an extra appeal to you right now. In this last month, the Montreal Council of Agglomeration, the Conseil d'Agglomération, has been meeting in preparation for the budget that the City of Montreal is bringing down on the 13th of January. I'm a member of the Green Coalition. Members of the Green Coalition have been at these agglomeration meetings in December. Something very important is at stake. The City of Montreal has a policy which is called the Politique de protection et mise en valeur des milieux naturels. It's a protection policy for natural spaces, and it has a budget.
The supposed budget for the Montreal Natural Spaces Policy is $41 million over the next 3 years.
Mayor Tremblay made a promise to use that $41 million, nearly all of it, for the protection and preservation of natural spaces. Now a kind of jockeying is going on inside the city apparatus in Montreal. It involves Mayor Tremblay and a very important figure, Alan D'Souza, who is on the executive committee. If you watch this video, please send a message to Alan D'Souza, send a message to Mayor Tremblay, and tell them to use that $41 million for the protection and the acquisition of natural spaces here in Montreal. We are very short of them. Those we have, we must protect, and we actually should have more.
Come on, people who cares about the future.
Now today, in the 16th edition of the Pimento Report, we're going to have a Pimento conversation with a rather fascinating figure. This is our last Pimento for 2009. His name is Richard Register. He's a man who lives in California and imagines what the ecological city would look like.
I met Richard Register this past June 2009 at the 5th Annual Montreal Citizen Summit.
It's a really beautiful city. I've been bicycling around for the last couple of days, and the best means of transportation.
Register is a designer and urban theorist who lives in Berkeley, California. He has pioneered an ecological and evolutionary approach to urban design as a part of a radical attempt to create new kinds of cities, to demonstrate, in his words, quote, that cities can actually build soils, cultivate diversity, restore lands and waters, and make a net gain for the ecological health of the earth, unquote.
We need to build eco-cities for some particular reasons. Then it's what are those eco-cities, what do they look like, and finally it's how to actually do that, how to actually build a very different kind of a city. And why is a negative side and a positive side. The negative side is that humanity, through its cities more than any other single agency, has gone a long way to destroying all the major natural cycles on the planet. Climate cycles, biodiversity, and we're burning up 150 million years worth of deposition of fossil fuels in 4 or 5 generations. So what's going on now is absolutely gigantic in the negative side of things. But on the positive side is that we can build cities that bring out the very best in human beings, cities that provide the cultural context, the physical, commercial support, so that people can actually flourish, so that you can have what I think of as a creative, compassionate, evolving human being. And cities can help in that way by creating a community that's wonderful for people. It creates a lattice work in which people can live and work and trade their skills and ideas. So it has that very positive aspect. And the question of how to actually, what it actually is it's a pedestrian city, basically, de-emphasizing cars until they're gone. There's a gigantic monster in our midst here that weighs 30 times as much as a human being, goes 10 times as fast, kills 1 million people on the earth every year. It takes up 40 to 70 times the volume of a human body. And what are we doing designing cities around this thing? And the cheap energy that's going away. So we have to wise up pretty fast and build a pedestrian city that's very three-dimensional, like most living organisms and all complex living organisms. So a city is a complex living organism, and it better get more three-dimensional in the sense of compact, with the organs of the city close enough together that you can take transit or bicycles and get anywhere you need to go. So the last thing in my reason for being here is to actually say how to do that. And there's ways to do it. There are tools. You can do eco-city mapping. You can build neighborhoods that become fractions of the whole with all the important components present and very well organized. We call those fractals, eco-city fractals. If you could build places like this, people could see them immediately and begin to catch on to the wholeness of an ecologically healthy city. There's a mind blockage that comes up in many people, including the best educated of people, who often think that because I'm so well educated, I don't need to think anymore in certain ways. And so I come from a city that doesn't want to do most of what I recommend, even though they consider themselves extraordinarily green, which is Berkeley, California. And yet you can't even bring up the subject of changing the land use pattern without people freaking out in an almost cosmic manner. They just cannot stand the subject, and so they will turn around and leave before they will engage you on a subject like getting rid of cars in a serious manner. There's not a single pedestrian street in the whole city of Berkeley, and the mayor right now is arguing against having one because a local person who has a restaurant and a little hotel wants to be able to drive right up to the very front door, even though if it was a pedestrian street, he'd be in the middle of a very quiet zone, and even people in wheelchairs can go from the corner to the front door of his little small hotel about the same distance as you go to get from the front door to the desk in a big hotel. And so what's the problem? There's a lack of imagination. There's a fear that I don't understand, a fear of change that has to be made. I don't understand why people aren't more afraid of climate change and of collapsing biodiversity and would say, I have to really entertain uncomfortable ideas. It's not a comfortable thing to face the redcoats coming over the hill and Paul Revere screaming at you that you better do something, pick up your gun or run fast because the situation has changed. Well, the situation has really changed about people living in cities on this planet. For one thing, they're no longer little small cities. I mean, Venice with 270,000 people is a small city today. And the little villages, essentially, that were the Pueblo Indians that are very three-dimensional, compact, and I use them in my slideshow as very tiny models of mixed use and three-dimensionality. I mean, they really illustrate that beautifully. But we have to think this one through for our time. When we have billions of people on the planet now, we have to reorganize the city to run on 1/10 the energy and about 1/5 the land. And it can be done, but you have to actually set out to do it, and people actually have to listen to it so you can have good dialogue on it and work the details out. In fact, urban orchards, you could put down every street we see now, instead of decorative trees, they could all be fruit trees. Why not have an urban orchardist who coordinates the harvest and he teaches people how to plant them and how to prune them and how to can fruit and things like that? All these things are easily solvable if people will just stop and think about it, but they all want to stay as secure as they can in doing exactly what we're doing. And one of the issues, by the way, is, and this conference has been talking about the city we want. What if the city we need is not the city we want?
Richard Register believes that democratic planning is important, but he worries that people will shy away from what he sees as evolutionary necessities for our cities. Would people, for example, wish to live in an ecological city? You are now looking at a drawing of such a city envisaged by the architect-philosopher Paolo Soleri. These models raise questions about our addiction to the car, the need for density, and issues of aesthetics and taste. The failure of the recent Copenhagen meeting on climate change certainly means, however, that all of us must think, more than ever before, of the ecology of our cities. This is Patrick Barnard saying goodbye for now from the Pimento Report.